Welcome on Inside IQ. Although we live on the surface as shown in the model, but the real forces shaping our planet come from deep inside of the Earth. So without further ado, let's understand the Earth interior and geomorphic process. Before moving further, what is the concept of geomorphology? So let's understand in a simple way. Geomorphology is the scientific study of landforms, their origins, evolution, processes, and distribution on the Earth's surface, as shown in this representation. So it explains about why mountains, plateaus, and plains exist in this world, how rivers shape their valleys, how climate control landscape, how Earth's internal and external force interact, and what are the landform created. So it connect directly about the geography, geology, climatology, hydrology, and environmental science, etc. Let's understand how forces shaping the earth and what are the role of geomorphic process to formation of mainland. So around 250 million year ago, a supergiant supercontinent known as Pangaea and it broken in two parts, it known as Laurasia in the north side and Gondwana in the south side. Further it broken into number of pieces and that we have present world order of multiple countries as shown in this model. So let's understand about the forces. One is endogenic forces, it also known as internal forces. It basically driven by the plate tectonics, mantle convention, etc. What are the processes occurring in this? One is diastrophism. It is related to formation of the mountain, plateaus. Next one is volcanism, lava plateaus, earthquake. It related to fault scrape. Next one is exogenic forces is also known as external forces. So it just generally powered by the solar energy, gravity, etc. So process related to it, weathering, it related to temperature, water, erosion, rivers, wind, glacier. These are the agent of the process to help. So next one is deposition. It related to sediment. We can find this one in the process of formation of delta before the entering of sea. So mass wasting it related to gravity. Next one is interior of the earth. So what is this? The interior of the earth refers to the internal structure of the our planet which is not directly observable and is understood mainly through the direct and indirect sources. So first is indirect direct sources. What are the direct sources? It related to a method that provides first-hand information about the Earth's interior. It related to physical observation, sampling, drilling, mining, and volcanic material that we can see in the physical world. About the mining and drilling activity, it like deep mines or scientific drilling allow geologists to observe rock types, temperature, what are the temperature that particular matter, pressure condition directly up to a few kilometers. Next one is how volcanic eruption help to understand this concept. It is about the magma rise. So magma generally found in the mantle. So mantle material come out on the surface. So about the magma rising from the inside earth bring mantle material like basalt generally to the surface and it offers the clues about the deeper layer. Next one is geothermal gradient measurement. It related to temperature record in the mines, boreholes help determine the rate of heat increase with the depth, indicating the internal heat source. As we go through from the surface of the earth to inside, then the pressure and temperature also increase. This is graphic representation as we discuss about the sources that help to understand about the earth internal structure like sources direct about the mine rocks, volcanic eruption, and in the indirect way, change of the temperature, pressure, and density, meteors, gravitational and magnetic fields, seismic activities, like this way. So, in the indirect sources, we are since humans cannot directly reach deep inside the earth, so deepest drilling it around the 12 kilometer. So scientific generally rely on the indirect or geophysical methods to understand the what are the structure inside of the earth surface. One is geothermal gradient. What is the meaning of the gradient? It is basically difference between the 2 point. So difference of 2 point known as gradient. Temperature increase with depth. It is around the 25 to 30 degrees centigrade of per kilometer in the crust. indicate presence of the radioactive decay, molten, semi-molten materials. It also confirms about the thermally active inside the earth. Next one is seismic wave. So study of earthquake wave provide maximum information about the earth internal structure. Earthquake generate basically two kind of wave. One is P wave, primary wave, and S wave, secondary wave. There is speed, direction, and behavior change inside of different layers. So some of the characteristic of the P wave is like P wave is the fastest among the all seismic wave and first to arrive on the earth surface. P wave can be travel from the gases, liquid, and solid, all of three medium. P wave is similar to sound wave. If we discuss about the P wave shadow zone, so we receive P wave from the 0 degree to 103 degree, 140 degree to 180 degree. So basically the meaning of that, the shadow zone of P wave is in between of the 103 degree to 140 degree. So in this range we not receive P wave. Next one is S wave. So S wave can travel only through the solid medium. Only solid medium. It receives on the earth surface after the P wave. It is the more dangerable. So destruction of the earthquake from the S wave is much more, and the shadow zone of the P wave is we receive the secondary wave from the 0 degree to 103 degree. So after the 103 degree, not receive of any of secondary wave. So the meaning of that, shadow zone of S wave is much larger than shadow zone of P wave. Next one is gravitational study. So gravity is not uniform everywhere on the earth. Denser rock exert greater gravitational pull. It also confirms about that the earth internal layer and density increase when we go from surface to inside of the bottom of earth. Let's discuss about the earth layer and their compositional structure. So the earth is divided generally into three concentric layers: crust, mantle, and core. So these layers were identified mainly through the seismic wave study and density calculation. So these are the like crust. The depth of the crust is related to up to 5 km to 100 km. Mainly composition of the material is silica and aluminum, so it generally known as Cl, and the density is very low. Next one is mantle. It depth is from 100 to 2900 km. The metal composition are the silica and magnesium, and it is known as Sima. The density is in between the crust and core. Next one is core. So depth of the core is related to from the 2900 to 6378 km. The main composition of the metal is nickel and iron. So it is known as Ni, and the density is highest among the all three layers. This is a graphic representation of the earth layer as we discussed in the previous one. So crust, mantle and core. So mantle is also divided in between the upper mantle and lower mantle, and core is also divided outer core and inner core. This is the how geomorphic process work in the mantle. So the movement of the plate tectonics and the magma chamber. Let's start outermost layer of the earth known as crust. So the crust is uppermost solid part of the earth where life exists and all human activity occur. It composes mainly the metal of the silica and aluminum, so is often known as Cl. Thickness of the crust varies under the oceanic and continental area. The average density in the continental area is around 2.7 gram per centimeter cube. So what is the meaning of the density? So generally density is quantum of fluid in particular area. So how many quantum of fluid respect to that area? Next one is oceanic crust made of heavier rock. So if rock is heavier, then obviously density is more. So in the oceanic crust density is more, it around 3 gram per centimeter cube. The kind of rock seen in the oceanic crust is basalt type, and the oceanic crust is constantly created at the mid-oceanic ridge and destroyed at subduction zone. As seen in the image, a continuous rise of the plum of magma in the mid-oceanic ridge, and the new layer is continuously created and separated in divergence zone. The middle layer of Earth, known as mantle, the mantle lies below the crust and extends up to depth of 2900 km. It is the largest layer of all three layers, making up about 83% of Earth volume. Just imagine that on which we live in crust, and it has only 1% of Earth total volume. It has higher density than the crust. Mean density is 4.6 gram per centimeter cube, mainly silicate material rich magnesium and iron. It is often known as sima. The lower mantle is hotter than the upper mantle, and the lower mantle is more rigid due to high pressure. It has it is the chief source of magma. Mantle is the chief source of magma that finds its way to the surface during volcanic eruption. I have already made a detailed content on the volcanic process, how the volcanic process occurred, what are the types, and what is the lava types, lava and magma, what is the magma chamber, etc. If you still not watch, please go and watch there. There are some of terminology used about the lithosphere, asthenosphere. So lithosphere, it includes the crust and uppermost layer. This is the crust and uppermost layer of the mantle known as lithosphere. It is the rigid and firm tectonic plate. Next one is asthenosphere. This one is internal of the mantle. So it is located about the 130 350 km deep. It is the semi-molten and plastic type. It allows the tectonic plate to move from each part. Next layer is innermost layer of the earth known as core. The core is deepest and densest part of the earth. It extending from the depth of 2900 km to 6378 km. The core is made up of very heavy metal, mainly composed of the iron and nickel. So it is known as also Nephi layer. The density of this layer at the mantle core boundary is around 5 gram per centimeter cube, which increased to around 13 gram per centimeter cube at the center of earth around 6300 km. So it is generally divided into part of the core, outer core and inner core. Outer core is depth of 2900 to 5150 km. What are the characteristics? Outer core is liquid state, composed of the molten iron and nickel, generate earth magnetic field. Inner core depth is 5150 to 6378 km. It is in solid state, extremely high pressure, preventing melting, mostly iron. This is the core. Now let's discuss about the discontinuities inside of the Earth's surface. So Earth interior is made of different kind of metal. Each of those metals are different from the each other by their physical and chemical properties, such as like temperature, density, pressure, etc. So there are 5 discontinuities inside the Earth. All those layers are separated from each other through a transition zone or a boundary. So these transition zone known as discontinuities. So this is a simple representation of the discontinuities in this image form. So just a simple way to remember all discontinuities in a sequence like C, M, R, G, L. Just remember 2 or 3 times you will be remember all these name in the sequence way CMRGL. So just start from the coordinate discontinuities. It is the transition between the upper and lower crust. So this is the crust, upper crust and lower crust. In between the discontinuity known as coordinate discontinuity. Next one is Moravec discontinuities. So this is the transition zone between the lower crust, because mantle start from the lower crust, so lower crust and upper mantle, it is known as Moravec discontinuities. Next one is repetitive discontinuity. It is the transition zone between the upper and lower mantle, because mantle is also divided between the upper mantle and lower mantle, so in between their property will be changed and discontinuity will be occurred. So next one is Gutenberg discontinuity. This one is a transition zone between the lower mantle and upper core. So here is core, here is mantle. So again there are property changes. So some of the discontinuity will be occurred. Then next one is Lehman discontinuity. Lehman discontinuity is between the outer core and inner core, because as we discussed in the previous slide, outer core and inner core the property will be changed. Now time to summarize some of the key facts like their earth radius 6371 km, Mantle occupied largest volume of Earth. It is around 83%. Core is responsible for magnetic field. Average Earth density is 5.5 grams centimeter per cube. Human have drilled only about 12 kilometer into the crust. If you remember, then mark in the comment box the about name of the location. Which location 12 kilometer drill hole occurred. Discontinuities are identified mainly through the seismic wave behavior. They mark change in the composition, density and state of matter. These boundaries help scientists to understand about the Earth's internal structure. Please also check out your related content on my YouTube page, and if you have any query or doubt, please mark in the comment box. And also like, share and subscribe my YouTube. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.